Well, I wish they would have told me they were going to wrap up that whole nebula thing in the 4th episode. I might have waited until it was over to do my first review. Well, what are you going to do? We got that and some ups and some downs in the episodes that have come out since we last talked. So strap in, because we're taking a look at Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episodes 4 through 6. Engage! Hey! Okay, once more, we're going to spoil these episodes. But if you're still looking to get a recommendation on whether or not to give the show a shot, I can tell you, without spoilers, that my recommendation so far remains the same. Yeah, it's worth a look. Some good stuff happened in these last 3 episodes, but some garbage did too. So we're still in the solid 3 stars range right now. But from this point forward, we're spoiling this thing. So don't say I didn't warn you. Plot. I really like that we resolved a lot of story in episode 4. The big story about what other big thing did the changelings steal and what their plan is still going, but it was nice to have some of the stuff they set up pay off. It gives the plot a sense of progression to do that. Some shows don't try to pay anything off until the last couple episodes, and you end up getting burnt out with 8 episodes of setup only to get a lackluster and anticlimactic payoff of everything crammed into the last 2. Episode 4 really felt like a next-generation episode, with the birth of all them space squids and the teamwork problem-solving and all that. I think we all got that the space squids was a callback to Encounter at Farpoint without Picard having to specifically go, Farpoint, but whatever. Episode 5 starts a new act, and gives us the return of Ro Laren. I'm really torn about this one. On one hand, I understand wanting to show how far the changeling infiltration goes, more on that in a second, and wanting it to be someone Picard would trust to deliver that intelligence, but it seems like the same thing could have been accomplished by Worf and Raffi without having to make yet another pull from Nostalgia Town. I like Michelle Forbes, and I'm glad she got a paycheck with this, but it's getting gratuitous, and we're not even talking about episode 6 yet. About the changeling infiltration thing, this is another thing I'm torn about. I get that the Dominion War was probably the biggest thing that happened in the Star Trek television shows, even bigger than Wolf 359. And while it was resolved technically, there was the potential for more with that. But the Starfleet is compromised thing has been done a couple times already, and it just seems like an easy place to go to. Conspiracy from Season 1 of TNG, Star Trek 6, the first time we had the whole changeling thing, some lesser stuff, it's not new ground. I mean, I guess it fits with all the other fan service that the overarching plot is also a lift, but it just seems lazy. Speaking of that, if you thought episode 1 was an orgy of fan service, welcome to episode 6. Holy balls. We got the Enterprise A, Voyager, the HMS Bounty, the bird of prey from Star Trek 3 and 4, the Defiant, which I thought blew up in First Contact, but apparently not, the Stargazer, the NX-01 Enterprise, a TOS-style Constitution-class ship you ain't never heard of before, the New Jersey, because that's the only way to shoehorn one of those in here. All the famous ones either blew up or got the refit. Picard actually mentioned being on the bridge of one of these at the museum when he was talking to Scotty in Relics, so this must be it, right? But we're not done. When we get to the Daystrom station where those experimental weapons were stolen from, don't know if you heard about that in the earlier episodes, Raffi didn't mention it very much, but once we get there, we get not only Data and Moriarty for some reason, we get a Tribble, the body of James T. Kirk for some reason, and the stinking Genesis device. I mean, when they stole the cloaking device, I was expecting it to be that globe lamp Sargon used to live in with bits of Nomad stuck to it like the one from Enterprise Incident. Which, by the way, add that one to the list too. And, as I alluded to before, I don't know why Moriarty is in this show. Again, I like Daniel Davis a lot. Glad to see him getting a check. But his inclusion in this show, along with the Pop Goes the Weasel puzzle that was a reference to Encounter at Farpoint, was the most awkward and contrived bit of fan service since we learned that Picard and Riker's shuttle in Episode 2 was the Savick. Actually, I think it beats that pretty handily. And what gives with it being a puzzle they could solve and get in? What is this, the Doors of Durin? Speak Weasel and Inna? What kind of security system is that? So they get in, they see a model of Data that has the exact amount of aging that Brent Spiner has, hooked up to the station. They find a recording of some Sung or other giving a half-assed explanation as to why this Data is old. Bad guys come in, they all escape with old Data, reasoning that he knows what other experimental weapons the Changeling stole from Daystrom. Did you know about that? I don't know if Raffi mentioned it before, but that's a thing that happened. And in an act of self-sacrifice, Riker holds them all for the rest of them escape. Vadic intercepts Riker's capture and takes him aboard her ship, where she reveals that she's got Deanna Troi prisoner and is going to use her to persuade Riker to rat out the rest of the Titan's crew. I mean, that's not bad. We knew she was going to get pulled into this thing at some point. It's weird that Vadic knows where she lives, but she obviously has files on everyone in Starfleet, as indicated by what she told Captain Shaw back in Episode 2, so that doesn't bother me. The overall plot is still doing good, but we're trending back into flimsy fanfic territory now with the most recent episode, and I hope that don't last. Character. Had a couple of character problems with these episodes, but as much as I'm still conflicted about her character being in the episode, I liked Ro Laren's character. I was first turned off by her intense jerkiness. I mean, she ain't even a Commodore. But we later see that was a ruse to throw off the Changeling agents she clearly believes her escort is made up of, which, of course, turns out to be correct. Picard don't know it's a ruse, though, and I think his vitriol towards Ro is a little intense. Seemed a little out of character. I thought introducing her just to kill her off was a bit of a cheap move, but when she found out her shuttle was going to blow up, her going straight for the Intrepid's warp nacelle was very much in character for her. While I thought the whole I don't trust the transporters thing was transparently only there so we get this moment, I at least like what they did with it. Geordi was a little different. First, an engineering mind like that being relegated to overseeing a museum just doesn't seem plausible, fleet though that museum may be. The rift between him and Sydney also doesn't really feel genuine. It's like both of them assumed the other was mad at him, but turns out no one was mad at anybody. No one was really wrong, it seemed. They talked about it and it just kind of went away. And his whole hang-up with risk and keeping his family safe really felt like a tropey Finding Nemo thing, and I just didn't buy it. When he shakes all the nonsense and the real Geordi comes back, it's a palpable relief, and I'm looking forward to his performance going forward. Worf. I've really liked Worf, but the shtick of people rolling their eyes at Worf's newfound Zen master thing is starting to get really tired. But I will say, if it's going to keep being such a front and center thing, they're going to need to justify it pretty soon. If it's just a funny quirk, then you reference it a little when we first meet him. Once you make the same joke about it for the 10th time over 4 episodes, it's now part of the story, and it needs a reason to exist beyond getting cheap laughs. But Michael Dorn kicks butt, and I'll have words with anyone who says different. Sure. So in episode 4, we get the reason he was such a jerk in episode 1. He's got survivor's guilt from being at Wolf 359, and he, as more than a few probably do, sees Picard as a focus for that turmoil. I still think his jerkiness was over the top in that episode, and it don't explain why he was just as vitriolic with Riker, other than association, I guess. But it was pretty intense to just be a I really hate your friend thing, but whatever. That scene where he tells that story has been the best scene in the season so far, top notch. The stuff between him and Seven was good too. Todd Stashwick is a damn fine actor, and I honestly think he's my favorite character so far. I like Jack Crusher too, though we didn't get much new out of him. He's some kind of flip out and turn into a ninja guy with the same disease Picard had, which didn't make Picard turn into a blackout assassin, but maybe that's a diet thing? Like there's a lactose intolerance aspect to it or something, and if you eat too much cheese, that's when you wake up on a pile of dead bodies with a traffic cone on your head? I don't know, I'm not a doctor. But we don't focus on Jack much. We know he likes starships and he steals the cloaking device, but we already knew he was that kind of guy, so not a lot to add here. We haven't actually had much Data yet, but I'm already worried about the whole he's all of the Datas at the same time thing. That's got some serious goof potential. And the whole Rogues Gallery I am Data, I am Lore, I am before thing didn't help my optimism much. What I would love is for one of those consciousnesses in there to be his character Bob Wheeler from Night Court. That would be fantastic. I mean, why not, right? I did like the Ferengi guy from episode 2 that I forgot to mention last time, and the Vulcan Underworld guy. Both were interesting spins on the usual portrayals of characters from those races. Everybody else just kind of stays the same, really. Thought. So the family themes set up in the first 3 are continuing along nicely. We've added the idea of the family you choose with the thing between Geordi and Sydney, which was okay. Jack and Picard are getting closer, and their scene where Jack says he thinks he got more than surprise ninja disease from his father was pretty good. I bet people are starting to wonder when they can see something other than that bar on the holodeck, though. Diction and Song. Not a lot to add to these, so I'll take them both at once. Dialogue has stayed firmly in Star Trek dialogue land. I like the exchange between the Vulcan and Worf and Raffi, though he should have been suspicious that they accepted being forced to fight to the death a little too quickly. Shaw really has his own voice, and almost threatens to make everybody else seem bland in comparison. Among the old cast, it still seems like Riker and Worf are the ones the writers are having the most fun writing for. As for the score, more references to older scores, and the new stuff is just kind of there. It ain't been my favorite. Spectacle. Show's still a little too dark, but maybe I'm getting used to it, because it didn't stand out as much in these last 3. I mean, there were times when the Titan didn't have power in episode 4, but it works if it's for story reasons. The space squids look neat, and like I said, that whole thing was very Next Generation, in a good way. We're seeing some interesting ship designs with the Intrepid and some of the ships that are chasing the Titan, which is cool. I honestly thought that since we made a point of saying that the new ships are all wired into each other, and that's why they're so easy to track, that we were going to steal the Enterprise A from the Fleet Museum since it ain't like that, and spend the rest of the show on there. That's my favorite Enterprise, though I prefer it without the A. So I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't going to be on board for that, fan servicey though it may have been. But taken on their own, the old ships look good. The New Jersey was a straight from the original series Constitution class, which ain't what the Enterprise looks like in Strange New Worlds, so I thought that was interesting. For the record, I do like the look of the Enterprise in Strange New Worlds. I think it's a great hybrid of the original design and modern aesthetics. Really cool ship, and a great show. Overall, the VFX team is killing it. Maybe turn on a couple more lights and you really got a winner here. So there you have it. The show's taken a bit of a step backwards for me with this last episode, but I'm still here. At this point, we're more than halfway through, so I think it's at least clinched a winning record. These last episodes will determine if it goes to the championship or not. They got work to do, but it ain't impossible. This has been Possum Rob watching stuff with you. Come back later and we'll watch more stuff you'll love. If you like this look at how Picard Season 3 is going, reach down there and hit that like button for me so I know you dug it. Got that Indiana Jones episode coming up and 1 or 2 more things up my sleeve, so if you ain't already done it, hit that subscribe button down there too. And ring-a-ling that bell so you get a little goose when the new video comes out and you don't miss it. I got plans for when we get past that 1,000 mark, so if you're liking the show, tell your friends that they need to come to Possum Town and hang out with me. In fact, say that exact thing to them, and then come tell me how they reacted to that. Get video if you can, I gotta see that. Alright, until next time, Possum friends are awesome friends. Take it easy, alright? Later.